Coming up this week on the Course of Life podcast, it was a Masters week for the ages with a fitting and deserving champion and a whole lot of drama and storylines. Plus, I've got some exciting announcements on tournaments that I'm heading to next week. And most importantly, our Quinnipiac Bobcats are national champions on the ice. We get into all that. Plus, we're tuned into a celebrity golfer in Chicago. And this week's guest, friend of the show, Brittany Baldi Dull, updating us on her baseball wife life, her content, and maybe a possible return to MTV. We'll see. Plus, it's everything candy holiday related when we always end with food. All of it brought to you by our friends at Swing Juice, Mike. SwingJuice.com, official apparel provider of the Course of Life. And as soon as I showed you these shirts and the uniqueness behind the Swing Juice brand, I knew you took to it too, because it's all about that casual lifestyle golf vibe on the course. Everything from golf and pizza to golf and tacos. They've got vibes for the golf and food lovers out there, and we love everything that they make. So be sure to check out SwingJuice.com. Our code is LIFE20. So again, code LIFE20 saves you 20% off anything on swingjuice.com. Anything. We'll get into all the wonderful stuff they have to offer, but we'll let you browse for now. So again, check out Swing Juice. Get some juice into your life with Swing Juice and promo code LIFE20 at swingjuice.com.
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life. We are proud to be presented by our friends at Desert Fox Golf and Swing Juice. I'm Michael. He's Alex. And Alex, I'm still flying high. We'll talk about why in the second half of the show, as you teased about in your opening. But for now, let's talk about the Masters, a tradition unlike any other.
That it is.
And, the Masters was phenomenal at Augusta. What a start to the week, and then weather just all over the place, and then a phenomenal end on Sunday with so much golf to be played then as well. Let's start at the beginning of the week, even before Thursday. Let's talk about Tiger Woods' press conference, and where he was pretty much saying he doesn't know how much longer he's going to be able to play.
Yeah, I know that was a kind of auspicious start, because every week at the Masters, you kind of get that press conference where Tiger reminds you that if I'm still here and I am able and I'm ready to go in a tournament, that means I fully intend to play and try and win this thing. And now all of a sudden, for the first time through his entire plight and everything he's been through in the last several years, we're finally starting to hear that language surrounding the end for him and what's left and the ticking clock. So that was a little bit of an auspicious start to the week. And it made us wonder what sort of condition we were going to get from Tiger this week. And needless to say, it was a struggle for him from start to finish.
Yeah, he made the cut. His, 23rd consecutive cut made at the Masters?
On the number, with help from Justin Thomas and Sung J M on Saturday morning, yes.
And then he withdrew on Sunday morning. I think for Tiger to have a week where he can contend, and that's a big word to use right now, you need like 80-degree dry weather. That's
and
what
all
you
of
need.
The greatest players in the world playing their C game as well, too.
Exactly.
That's
so
the sad reality.
I think he knows that, and he's kind of finally starting to say it. I mean, he's kind of been hinting at it anyway, but his play showed it. He just somehow, I think he made the cut because everyone was like, oh, we need to let him make the cut, so we're going to do that. And then, of course, with the split groups they did Saturday and Sunday, because he was at the bottom of the barrel, I know the Masters did it this way and CBS did it this way. They split it so that worst group teed off last on the 10th tee, with the leaders teeing off on the first tee so that you could put Tiger in prime time.
Yeah, there was a lot of crazy hijinks with CBS moving things around, and the logistics got really nuts, because if you watch a golf tournament casually or you're a fan, you know it's typically just 18 holes a day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But when the weather gets involved, like it always seems to at Augusta National, Mike, I swear, for it being the most magical week of the year on the calendar, Mother Nature does not agree with that in terms of the way she assesses the forecast, because the Masters has gotten dumped on, and they did again with over 2 inches of rain and crazy storm fronts that started to come in Friday afternoon and just made things go crazy from there.
That's right. And of course, we had trees falling down on the course as well.
Jesus, that was a close call.
Thank God no one was injured in any way.
Shocking.
But that was just kind of terrifying to see that happen. They rightfully closed that course real fast when that happened.
Oh, yeah. I'll say that was a near miss. And I mean, if that was freaking Tiger's group going through there between 16 green and 17 tee, who's to say there wouldn't have been a squadron of people there? It was lucky that it missed people by inches. So, yeah, that was a crazy close call. But shout out to the Augusta grounds crew, like better than maybe any organization in the entire face of the planet. They had that crap all cleaned up in like an hour and we were ready to go.
Yep.
They're unbelievable.
And of course, we got to the weekend. We had the conclusion of round 3 and all of round 4 on Sunday. It was Rahm and Koepka. Unfortunately, the amateur Sam Bennett, who was phenomenal with opening 68s on the first 2 rounds, just couldn't keep it going. But just phenomenal play, still able to finish in a tie for 16th out of him. So it came down to Jon Rahm, poster boy of the PGA Tour, and Brooks Koepka, poster boy of LIV Golf. Juicy. And I just have to say, Alex, it seemed like after 54 holes, Brooks Koepka just really struggled.
Well, that argument can be thrown out there appropriately based on what we all saw with our eyes, especially on Sunday and the long day that was, because he did wear down. So you can make your 54 versus 72 hole jokes. It was fascinating to see the LIV versus PGA Tour head-to-head play out. The broadcast made very little noise of it at all. There was absolutely zero reference to it, and I'm sure that was per the instruction of Augusta National, and just let the drama play out. But I appreciated what was happening because it was Brooks Koepka, a guy that is rather drama-free, just going out there and doing his business all week, and just a couple of brooding linebacker-looking guys competing on the biggest stage in golf. It made for the theater that we were all hoping and hyping it up to possibly be this weekend, and that came to fruition.
Yeah, I'm glad to see Jon Rahm has donned a green jacket for his career. Certainly rightfully earned. He played phenomenally in that final round. Great during the whole week, opening with that 65. And so I know what your take is here, but it's odd that we had really Rahm kind of led the PGA Tour guys here. And then there was other guys on tour like Russell Henley.
Yeah, I know. It's very
Jordan Spieth doing such Jordan Spieth things on Sunday.
He had to lure us in. Jordan Spieth always has to lure you in for about 45 minutes of every Sunday at every major. He's not going to win. He's not going to win the major, but for about 45 minutes, you're doing the math on where Jordan Spieth can finish in the clubhouse to win this thing. He does that every single year, I swear to God.
But his 66 was bested by 52-year-old Phil I Am LIV Golf Mickelson, who shot a 65, is the oldest man ever to finish in the top 5 at Augusta. Is this his best performance of the year, though? I mean, he says he's on the cusp of something great, and that is just to get the ball rolling, and he's going to do some more amazing things.
Love that tease.
Is he just throwing on the fire here, or do you think that there's actual chance that Phil Mickelson is going to do something at the other majors this year? Is he finally going to get himself a career Grand Slam?
I love how the stars align for the karma and cosmic timing of this all, because you and I have diatribed at such great length how crappy Phil Mickelson's golf has been for the last 9 months since he switched to the LIV Tour. All of that forgotten instantly as soon as he pours in a 65 on Sunday. It was Phil the Thrill back all over again. Like we just wipe all that clean and just forget how cruddy he's been playing the last several months. He gives you that little juice at Augusta, and then all of a sudden you think here, let's talk about the U.S. Open in June. Can he get it done? We're gonna do that. We're gonna rev that engine back up again. It's so funny to see what just one day at Augusta to do for you. He was lounging around par, a couple shots better all week, Mike, and then just comes through with lightning in a bottle, and Phil Mickelson's just throwing him back into the conversation. You know, to all the haters and the naysayers of the way he's acted in the last year, it shows you a lot about his popularity, that he can just do that in one day and just kind of win audiences back. It was a fascinating dichotomy with Phil Mickelson this week.
I mean, I still think he's a piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can absolutely think that and still be amazed by the rabbit he pulled out. That was a rabbit out of the hat right there.
He supposedly said nothing during Scotty Scheffler's Champions Dinner.
Yes.
Supposedly didn't utter a word. Probably just sat there in the corner sulking the entire time. And then it took him till Sunday to still decide to actually speak up and say something about it. But I have more faith in Brooks Koepka doing something over the course of the year in the majors than I do in Phil Mickelson.
That's a fair take. And the other random one I got to shout out with the surprising LIV appearances on the board. Patrick Reed with just a quiet fifth or sixth place finish. Again, a guy who's showed no form at all since he made the switch to the LIV Tour, pops up out of nowhere. And Mike, you know what that is? This is just, we speak about this every year. This course and certain guys and familiarity and coming back here year after year after year. It seemingly doesn't even matter what sort of form you're in. You step back on the grounds at Augusta National and you just regain some sort of magical form that you previously had missing. It's something about the track, but it's a magical place in many ways. And the past champions seem to show up always.
Speaking of magical, can we just give a shout out to Freddie Couples making the cut? I mean,
did it again, man.
He did it again.
I thought it would have been Bernhard Langer, but Freddie Couples ended up breaking Bernhard Langer's record at 63 years and a few months older. For the oldest guy to make the cut, Freddie Magic, silver hair. That hair, Mike, it is we've watched it go from brown to black to salt and pepper to silver, and it's making its way towards white. But guess what? Fred Couples is still playing Sunday at the Masters, and we weren't.
It's true. That's true. Can we just shout out some other big names from the tour who did surprisingly poorly? Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas.
Yeah. The Rory miscut really surprised me, and then we'll follow up with him not playing this week very auspiciously, but a weird aura around Rory. Again, we lean on Rory at the Masters. We're like, all right, career Grand Slam time. You're playing well. Yeah. You're on every board, and then an auspicious miscut. Very strange stuff there.
Yeah, and just looking through the rest of the year, I mean, Scotty Scheffler just couldn't get it going. He was almost leading the field in shots gained tee to green, but worst in the field in shots gained on the green.
Yeah,
so he just could not putt, and yet he still was able to finish in a top 20. So
it's pretty good overall for just not having it on the greens at Augusta and still being able to limp into a top 20. Shows you where his game is right now.
And I'm going to call it right now, future Masters champion Sahith Theegala with that amazing chip in on 16 on Sunday. He'll win one of these one day. I'm just going to say
right now, man. And he was definitely one of the darlings of the Full Swing documentary. I've loved following his story from just Monday qualifying a year or two ago to where he is now. And by the way, that was like straight up the Tiger chip. He straight up recreated that as closely as you could in a tournament round. So it was really cool to see someone pull off that shot as well.
So the Masters is in the book. We'll talk about where they're headed for the next weekend in a little bit. But let's first talk about what you got coming up, because there's a bunch of stuff going on in Texas, both on the LPGA Tour and the Champions Tour. And you've got some stuff set up to talk to people at these events.
Indeed. A little update for you, and I don't even know if you realize this. So we'd been playing what's now the Chevron Championship out there at Palm Springs. Remember, the winner jumps into Poppy's Pond after they win in the water there. And it's a great
that it's not there anymore. Very disappointing.
So they are moving it, but the good news is it's coming to my neck of the woods. So I'm not exactly mad at that. It's coming to the golf club at Carlton Woods in the Woodlands, Texas, just north of Houston. So I'm going to be there on site for the practice rounds. I've caught up with a few LPGA players on the podcast, so be sure to check out the podcast archives for those interviews, and looking forward to connecting with more LPGA players and first major championship for me in 2023 as well. I went to the 2022 Masters, but good to be back at a major and have the LPGA playing a big one in Texas now as well.
Yeah, that'll be big. Who's your favorite right now? Who's going to win the Chevron? Is it going to be a Corda?
Good question. How about a Jin Young Kopik? How about that? For just going outside the traditional name. You know, we drop her name a lot because she finds a way every 8 to 12 weeks to get in the winner's circle. So I'll lead my pick off there, but I'll analyze. I'll watch the players in action, and I'll deliver some more thorough picks next week as well.
All right, and then of course there's a Champions Tour coming to Dallas as well, and a loaded Celebrity Pro-Am.
I hope Freddie's there. I was just thinking about this. I just realized this. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about the players too. I was so caught up on the celebrities, Mike. I should be hunting down Bernhard Langer and Freddie Couples too, right?
Yeah, you should.
That should be part of the game plan. Okay, yeah. So it's going to be a Champions Tour event in Dallas at Las Colinas, Mike, where they used to have the Byron Nelson when you were there. But they're playing a Champions Tour event there now. So lots of celebrity interviews coming soon. And hopefully, Mike, my goal is I'm working on a couple of former MLB players. I want to ask some former MLB legends about the new rules and the pitch clock. I'm desperate to hear their answers and feedback on their perspective being out of the game. So hopefully I secure some of those interviews. Be sure to follow us on Instagram next week, because that's where you're going to see who I get to interview first before you hear it here on the podcast. We're at COL Podcast on IG, and I'm at Course of Life Alex. So stay tuned for all that content coming next week.
All right, let's look ahead to the RBC Heritage at Harbor Town, just under an hour or so from me in Hilton Head, just over the border in South Carolina. It is still a designated event. However, no Rory, no Will Zalatoris, because he's out for the rest of the year with back surgery announced today.
Yeah,
but Rory, what's going on? Rory not going to play in another designated event.
Strangely mysterious. Yeah, we may have some more information by the time the event tees off, but an interesting look, and he caught a little initial flack from the probers and the trolls on social media, obviously, because people are doing all the math and counting the numbers here. We weren't sure if a player like Rory was able to skip the designated events that he was. So I'm sure there'll be a little bit more to follow up on that. But yeah, no Rory. And like you mentioned, no Will Zalatoris for the rest of the season due to that back injury and surgery that he had, but still a designated event. And I know you and I have a little soft spot for this. I was glad to see the RBC Heritage get that designated event status, because we always kind of overlook this event the week after the Masters. But you and I know how beautiful of a setting and an event this is to watch. It's just got tough position on the calendar, but now that it's designated, we got a loaded field there. So I'm excited to see some of the top names at this event that we traditionally haven't seen in years past.
Yeah, John Rahm is supposed to be playing. I doubt
hope he does. Yeah, I hope he does. Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler making his tournament debut, and Max Homa will be there as well. So we got some guys out there, and of course, defending champion Jordan Spieth will be back.
That's right. He's always a threat there. It's a ball striker's course. It's a shorter course. Chipping and putting a priority. Smallest greens on the PGA Tour as well, too. I like, who I like is a player who also got in some controversy this past week, Patrick Cantlay. He finished runner up here last year, lost in the playoffs.
Super duper slow play, Patrick Cantlay.
He's going to play everyone to death at Harbor Town. He's going to win this week. There's my. You
just talked about pitch clocks with the MLB players you're hoping to see at the Pro-Am. Do we think we're going to get a putt clock or something so that Cantlay can speed up?
Seriously, I mean, we had that shot clock event on the European Tour a couple of years ago in Belgium that they messed around with. I want that back. They got rid of that, by the way. But I would love to mess around with something like that in the future. I mean, Patrick Cantlay is sure going to be the first person to drive us over the edge if you saw the Masters. But shout out to John Rahm for keeping his composure through all that, sitting on the tee, relaxing, waiting. Nothing like waiting on the golf course, especially when you're trying to win a Masters, right?
Yep, exactly. Also, I just want to shout out a sponsor exemption at the RBC Heritage because it's Jim Furyk.
Oh, man, that's your guy. We love you some Jim Furyk.
Two-time Heritage champion Jim Furyk. He's got a couple of those plaid jackets in his closet back home. So
here's the thing: this course hasn't changed, Mike. It hasn't gotten a yard longer from the way it was 20 or 30 or 40 years ago.
Yeah, this is not a long course. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is one of the shortest courses on tour.
I think
they play.
Yeah.
And so if Jim Furyk has got the accuracy down and if his putting's going well, look out.
That's probably about 200 to 1 or 300 to 1 in Vegas. If you're out there listening, you're walking through the casino, that's your dollar for the week.
That's worth a buck. Yeah, I feel like that's a good buck to put down right there.
Love it.
So you'll have your picks out well on Instagram, on Twitter, and your pool article will be up there as well for people to see.
Indeed. I talked about the Harbor Town, the Heritage, and I did a little article about the LIV performance at Masters. So if you want to review a little bit more of that, check out runyourpool.com.
Let's switch over to Tuned In, where we're sharing what we're tuning into outside of the world of sports. I started season 2 of Schmigadoon, which I think now we're going to call Schmicago. So did you watch season 1 of Schmigadoon, Alex?
No, but I remember the recap from season 1. So I guess why the new name is the real question, and what's going on with Chicago here?
Well, Schmigadoon, of course, is set. It's when they fall, or you somehow get transported to a magical land that is like all musicals of classic times of Oklahoma and the Music Man and everything. So it's that world. So they left it. They found true love in themselves, and they left it, and they get married, and they're now looking for a new spark. So they try to find it again. They stumble into Schmigadoon, the next generation of musicals during the sexual revolution. And so that's what's going to happen here. We're in Schmigadoon. It's much darker than Schmigadoon.
Darker and a sexual revolution. That's an interesting season 2 concept there.
Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Love it. Schmigadoon. Good stuff. Check that out if you're not already. I was tuned into a new celebrity golfer that's just taken the internet by storm, Mike. And I'll give you a second to think about your favorite celebrity golfers. But mine right now is DJ Khaled, the hip hop DJ, influencer, producer that does no rapping at all. He just yells over the beats of his songs and commissions other artists to make him rich. And he's done it. He's built an empire to the point where he can just golf every day now, Mike. He posts regularly about let's go golfing. He's golfing in hailstorms and rainstorms, and absolutely nothing stops him. He posts his swing more than any player, influencer, or follower I've ever seen on Instagram. So the new sensation on IG is the hip hop mogul DJ Khaled golfing. Mike, I don't know if you've seen DJ Khaled golfing, but who are your favorite celebrities golfing these days?
Pat Monahan.
Yes, good call out. AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am veteran Pat Monahan.
Yes, and former guest of this podcast, Pat Monahan.
That's right. Yeah, he would be a favorite of mine as well, too. The one I'm enjoying a lot recently, and I'm not going to be able to catch up with him next week, but hopefully I see him soon, is Alfonso Ribeiro. I can't get me enough of Carlton on the golf course. Love me some Carlton. He still breaks out the dance every once in a while, and I know it's cheesy, and I know it's 30 years old, and I know it's played out, but I still love it when he does it. And Alfonso Ribeiro is quietly like a scratch golfer, so I'm enjoying following him these days as well.
All right. Let's get into this week's guest, Alex. She's a friend of the show who we had back on in 2020. Do you remember 2020, Alex? 2020 lasted for about 20 years.
I do. Yeah, that does feel like ages ago. It's funny because we kept in touch with this next guest for a while, but 3 years. Time flies, huh? Wow.
We're talking about MTV reality star and MLB pitcher wife, baseball wife,
yeah.
Brittany Baldi.
That's right. She's got lots of updates in her life, not only on the baseball side with where her husband Ryan is playing currently, but her career. And I always have to ask those questions. You know, people that were like on a reality show in like a past life, would they ever consider going back on? I asked that question to Brittany. So fascinating chat with a friend of the show here.
We'll get to that conversation with Brittany in just a moment. But first, we want to remind you about some of our best friends in the golfing business, and that is the guys at Desert Fox Golf. They've been friends of the show since almost the beginning, and they've stuck around with us through thick and thin, and it's because they love us and we love them, and we really do love their phone caddy. We talk about a lot of different things on this podcast, but it's the first thing I take out of my bag when I put that bag on the back of a cart. The phone caddy comes out, it gets strapped right onto the cart, keeps my phone nice and safe, and then I'm also taking out my Swing A tumbler to keep a little extra water in there in addition to maybe a Gatorade or something I'm drinking on the side. So I've got all my Desert Fox stuff with me. And we love it so much, and we want you to love it too. And you can save 10% off anything at Desert Fox. They've got some other great things going on there as well. They've got some sharp towels. And I do really love, Alex, their Desert Fox logo. It's just,
you can't go wrong with the snazzy orange fox. That's right. And we'll be seeing phone caddies left and right for the guests that I interview next week. So look forward to giving them out to the faithful as well.
There you go. So you can save 10% off your purchase of anything at desertfoxgolf.com with the promo code Course of Life. Saves you 10%. Again, like I said, everything, the phone caddy, any color, the patriotic line as well, their golf towels, their Swing A tumblers. It's pretty awesome. Desertfoxgolf.com, promo code Course of Life to save 10%. Again, that's promo code Course of Life at desertfoxgolf.com.
Next up, we have a longtime friend of the show here to update us on her and her husband's life. Her fame dates all the way back to early MTV days, but now she's a baseball wife and an in-game host and MC as well. It's Brittany Baldi Dull joining us on the Course of Life. Brittany, how's everything with you?
Hey, Alex, thank you so much for having me today. I know things have been a little bit hectic on my end, and we've been trying to catch up and reconnect. And I'm very happy that I was able to carve out some time to join you guys today.
I know it's been a bit since we last formally spoke on the Course of Life. I think it's been about 2 years, but we've stayed in touch, and obviously a lot has changed. So let's update our listeners first. I have to unofficially start with my first post-wedding congratulations to you. You got married to your husband, Ryan Dull, who we've had on the podcast as well, professional baseball player. We'll get into everything the two of you are doing from a baseball perspective. But just looking back on the wedding and how everything went for you, what are some of your favorite memories of the day?
Yeah, so the wedding was what most people, I guess, can imagine when it comes to the big day. A little bit chaotic, hectic, but lots of fun. The day absolutely flew by. What was special about Ryan and I's wedding was we specifically got married on 11/11, so November 11th, and we chose that date because, one, it has a spiritual meaning. And then two, it was also Ryan's college baseball number. It's also his number currently with the High Point Rockers,
Nice.
which is very exciting. So we chose the date 11/11 specifically for that reason, or the multiple reasons. We also did a 3-day wedding weekend, which was really fun. The reason why we decided to do that was we had probably 85% of our wedding guest list come in from out of town. So naturally, with that being said, I had family coming from Florida, friends coming from Florida, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. Ryan had family and friends coming from other states and other parts of the United States. So we decided to get married in North Carolina. This is where my husband is from, and this is where a good chunk of his family still lives. But with that being said, we wanted to do a 3-day weekend because we wanted people to, A, get more time with us, and B, we wanted people's vacations to be worthwhile. So Friday night, we kicked off, we got married on a Friday night. So let me back it up a little bit. Thursday night, we had our wedding rehearsal dinner at the High Point Rockers baseball stadium, which was really cool. So we had a big welcome video and like photos and stuff on the Jumbotron. And our dinner was a North meets the South style, in the sense that obviously he's from the South, I'm from up North. So we did like clam chowder and lobster rolls to represent the North. And then we did a mix of broccolini and pulled pork and banana bread pudding to represent the South. So it was really fun to have our close friends and family come join us at the High Point Rockers baseball stadium, Truist Point Stadium, and get to experience some of our inner workings. So that was great. And then we got married, obviously, that Friday night at Childress Vineyards in Lexington, North Carolina. And then that following day, preceding the wedding, we all got up and went to Topgolf in Charlotte, which is one of the biggest cities in North Carolina. And the reason why we chose Topgolf was when Ryan and I first started dating, one of our very first dates together was actually at Topgolf Florida.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, so we kind of incorporated letting people inside of our lives for that full 3-day weekend, and it was a lot of fun.
Nice. You worked golf into it, full 3 days for everyone there. It sounds like a lot of fun. And one thing that our wedding weekends did have in common as well, too, I know it all worked out in the end for you, so we can laugh about it now, but we had a little bit of a wedding day weather worry. There was some sort of storm that was threatening your wedding weekend. How'd you guys make it through all that?
Oh, wow. I'm sorry to hear that affected you and your wife as well.
Yeah, it's okay. We got married just in time. The rain was there earlier in the day, but it cleared up just in time for us. So all things work out in the end.
Yeah, that ended up happening with us. So it's funny, right? Like I ended up pretty stressed out over that situation because, again, we originally planned to get married outdoor. There was a nice gazebo. It's a vineyard. And like the stress of some of my family members were like, hey, I can't come now because there's a tropical storm in some areas, a hurricane brewing in other areas. And I jokingly said, wow, did I manifest this? Because I wanted a tropical beachy feel to the wedding day. And I'm like, I didn't want a freaking tropical storm on our wedding day. I just wanted people to be able to wear like beach dresses and
Right.
have fun. And so that's kind of like the running joke now. But yeah, to your point where we kind of had to like switch plans last minute. We ended up getting married indoor, which was very pretty and gorgeous anyways, near the fireplace. And yeah, we had to like take photos and chase the weather and chase the sunshine. And we got really lucky where we had just enough sunshine or overcast where we were able to like run outside, take photos, go back in. And it's funny because within the last like hour and a half of our wedding, it's like the storm kind of just like went away. And I remember Ryan and I, we took like a couple private moments outside to like kind of just like self-reflect and kind of hug each other and just like look up at the stars. It's like all the cloudiness went away, all the rain went away. And it was just like an open sky with stars. And it was just like so pretty. And you could see the moon. And I was like, wow, is this kind of like a metaphor for like us having to weather the storm for the X amount of years that we are living and being married together, you know? So
definitely. Yeah. You made it to the finish line. You got a new start now, a new start on life. That was a very cool end to the wedding day. Good stuff. I love that. And talking about kind of where your new life is now, North Carolina, you mentioned briefly. So Ryan's background is in North Carolina. I know yours is similar to mine, that we both originally from Massachusetts, but tell me how everything came to be with settling down and putting roots down in North Carolina where you are now.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting situation. Obviously, I'm from Massachusetts, just like you previously mentioned. We, for a while, sat down and kind of made a Venn diagram of where we wanted to plant our roots. So we had New England up there, we had Florida there, we had North Carolina there, and originally we actually picked Florida. And the reason for that is obviously year-round nice weather. I love to snorkel. I love the beach. I grew up on the coast. For those of you guys that are listening that aren't familiar with Massachusetts, a lot of that state is by the water. So I naturally love the ocean. So we originally, about a year and a half ago, actually bought a house in Florida, but the home did not pass inspection. So we kind of pulled our down payment and decided, hey, you know, we're not going to waste money on this. So after we got married and having speaking to a bunch of our friends and family, it was my father-in-law, Mr. Frankie Dull. He was like, Britt, you know what? Like, you guys are thinking about starting a family. You both work here. You have us here. Your in-laws can help you out when it comes to raising a family or whatever the case may be. So why don't you guys consider staying here? And I thought about it and I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. So I kind of pulled my head out of the gutter, kind of took Florida off the map. And we decided down the road, maybe at some point we'll get like a second home there or a condo or visit. But we decided on North Carolina for those specific reasons where it's kind of the middle ground, right? For both Massachusetts and Florida.
It is, yeah, definitely.
And then we have great weather here. Like we still have the 4 seasons, but it's more mild than Massachusetts. When it comes to the wintertime, we don't really get a lot of snow. We don't really get the ice. And then on top of that, again, with wanting to start a family soon, I'll have the help from family and friends. And we both work in High Point. So what would have been the point to buy a house elsewhere if it was going to sit for 8 or 9 months during baseball season?
Yeah, definitely. The baseball season is a commitment. Let's talk about what it's like now. So the High Point Rockers is the club that Ryan's currently playing for. And Ryan Dull, your husband, has had tons of experience in the game, played his entire life and had Major League Baseball experience for several years. Talk to me about for your husband, the opportunity that the High Point Rockers presents for him to continue on with his baseball career.
Yeah, so both of us currently work for the High Point Rockers. They are an independent team. It is an independent league called the ALPB. It is actually partnered with the MLB. So every now and again, you will see people or players brought up to big league affiliate teams, which is kind of awesome. So a lot of the guys that are playing within that league are either A, just there for fun because maybe it's the latter half of their career and they just want to enjoy another couple seasons, or B, maybe it's a kid right out of college who might not have gotten drafted, but they want to take a crack out of playing professionally to see if they get a look. Or C, it could be a situation like Ryan where he is potentially on that cusp of retiring within the next 2 to 4 to 5 seasons, but wants to see if maybe he'll get some looks from some MLB affiliates because he is still playing at a high level and competing very well. So yeah, there's like a multitude of reasons why players are in that league. It's very competitive. You do see a lot of players, like you just mentioned, that are either with the MLB previously, or right out of college or something like that. So it is a professional league. It is very competitive. They do travel. And yeah, so like I mentioned with Ryan's type of situation, it has allowed him to continue his career. He last season was the closer for the team. I don't know what his role will be this year. If he is there, again, he is still a free agent, so he could get a call anytime between now and the season starts. So we aren't really sure where he's going to be, but in the event that he's not picked up with a big league affiliate, he will be with the Rockers. And yeah, I guess that just means him taking another crack at his career and hoping for the best.
Definitely. Yeah, no, it's good to see him continuing on. And I love seeing his involvement with the youth camps and clinics as well, too. How did those come to be about? Is that something he's been doing annually, or what's the background on the camps and clinics he's been involved with?
Yeah, so Ryan loves to give back every year. I think he's been doing it, don't quote me on it, but I want to say at least 4 to 6 years now. He started doing it before we were dating. And we've been together for at least, we're going on our 4th year. So it has to have been at least 5 or 6 years now. But Ryan and his agent, his brother, a lot of the local coaches, what they like to do is once a year, whether that be in the fall or the spring, whenever it fits their scheduling, of course, they like to get a group of kids together, usually 20 to 40 kids, where all the proceeds go back directly to Kernersville Little League, which is where Ryan actually started his baseball career.
Very cool.
So what Ryan does is it's like a fun, cute, fundamental camp. It's young kids, so they're not doing anything too drastic, but like they're doing like basic base running and learning how to catch like a pop fly and some little pitching mechanics and fun stuff like that. So it's just a fun way for the community to kind of get together, have a fun day. Usually Ryan will do giveaways or sign autographs. The kids get to ask questions at the end, and they get pizza, they get snacks. So it's just a great way for the kids kind of to get together, but also all the funds that are generated, again, go right back to the local Little League.
Very cool. Yeah. Again, it's Brittany Baldi Dull joining us. Brittany Baldi, Baldi on Instagram, if you want to follow along with her journey in broadcasting, her podcast, and everything baseball related as well, too. So I mentioned what Ryan's doing with the High Point Rockers. Let's talk about your role as in-game MC, which is very interesting to me because I know what the vibe is like at minor league ballparks. I go to the Round Rock Express games here in Texas, and there's a lot of really cool, innovative ways to make the baseball experience fun. I'm curious what your role is like night in and night out for the club and how it differentiates game to game.
Sure. So I absolutely love my role with the Rockers. It is a great way for me to A, get to know the community of High Point a little bit better, but B, get to showcase my skills and my talents and just be able to do something that I'm very passionate about and love. So how I got that job was kind of interesting. I'm on a website called Teamwork Sports. I don't know, for those of you guys that are listening that are thinking about maybe getting a job in sports, it's a really great website that
there you go. It's a good source.
It's like a LinkedIn basically for sports jobs. So long story short, I remember browsing my emails one day and I got a notification for the Rockers and I was like, I didn't even think about working for the team. Because my podcast has been pretty successful. And I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and email the GM or somebody at the team and see if they're looking for whatever, right? Broadcasting or something that fits my description. So long story short, I just randomly emailed them. They actually had an opening. I sent my reel and I ended up landing the gig as the on-field host last year. And I will be coming back this year, which I'm really excited about. But as far as my actual role with the team, what I do is, if there's like a long home game stretch, I will write up a bunch of scripts. Part of them are game related. Part of them are fun lifestyle type stuff that can be popped up on the Jumbotron or popped up within the broadcast. So I create a lot of content for not only the Jumbotron and the broadcast, but I also will do a lot of the live in-game stuff, as you have mentioned, Alex, where in between the innings, I'll go out there, we'll play like Dizzy Bat with the kids, we'll do something fun called Rocker Ball, we'll do giveaways, we'll shout out like the sponsors, we'll do like the t-shirt tosses, all of that fun stuff. So it's just a fun way for me to, like I said, be passionate about something that I enjoy doing. And I only work home games. I know a lot of people wonder if I get to travel with the team. No, I do not. It is all just the home games. And I will be working, I think, a little bit in the front office this year. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, it's great. And it kind of goes hand in hand with my podcast as well.
Yeah, it does. Very cool. It's the Bos Babes podcast. And you highlight everything from the world of sports, and you get to highlight your broadcasting with the team as well. I'm curious, you mentioned all those awesome in-game moments that they have, like Dizzy Bat and things like that. What's your favorite in-game segment at the Rockers games currently?
I think my favorite game is probably, I like to call it the fan favorite because everybody loves to see it. So last year it happened usually during the 7th or the 8th inning. So towards the end of the game, we play something called Rocker Ball, where it's these big, like giant blow up balls, and they go up over your body. So you're standing up inside of them. They almost look like a hamster wheel that you're standing inside of.
Yes. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you basically have to like run and charge and try to knock the other person over, and it's the best 2 out of 3. And I'm telling you, like, especially towards the end of a game, if it's like a college night and the fans are going crazy, they've had a couple beers, like everybody gets rowdy, and it's a lot of fun, especially like getting the fans involved, because what we do is at the start of each game, we'll go around and kind of ask age appropriate, right? Like who wants to play what game. So we usually get younger kids for like Dizzy Bat. We'll usually get people 18 plus for Rocker Ball, and the t-shirt toss. Obviously it can be anybody or any age. So it's definitely fun. But yeah, I think Rocker Ball is one of my favorites. And I know the Rockers fans do love Rocker Ball as well.
Yeah, and there could be a lot of collisions with that game in the outfield, especially late in the night. I think that could be a favorite of mine as well at Rockers games. One other thing I wanted to shout out, Brittany, regarding your Bos Babes podcast was a recent episode you did. Speaking of awesome minor league baseball experiences, you got to have a member of the Savannah Bananas on your show. Tell everyone what that experience is like for people who haven't even heard of the Savannah Bananas yet as well.
Sure. So if you guys are interested, and obviously you listen to Alex's Course of Life podcast, which is amazing. My podcast is called The Bos Babes with 1 S. So it's the Bos Babes, short for Boston, of course. You can find my podcast on iTunes or Spotify if you want to listen to my episode with Jackson Olsen or anybody else on there. So that episode with Jackson Olsen was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed getting to know a little bit about him and the team, and kind of how that league kind of runs. It's not really a league, actually. I think there's only like 2 teams that play against each other. They're an exhibition style baseball league, I guess you would call it.
It's quite the show, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of just like travel around. It's like a circus meets the baseball. All the guys are either former pros or played at high levels in college, or played in the Cape League, which is where actually Jackson Olsen came from. He's the third baseman for the Savannah Bananas. But I just thought he would be an excellent interview because a lot of people, as you mentioned, Alex, don't really know much about the Savannah Bananas other than you see their fun stuff on TikTok or Instagram, and you're kind of like, like, why is this guy out here in a top hat, and why is the umpire dancing around, and why does it look like a circus, but it's baseball? So I've kind of always been intrigued. I have not yet been able to go to a game yet. I do find it interesting that they're traveling to, I think, like 20 or 30 plus different cities. And it looks like a really fun, cool experience for kids.
Definitely,
and
yeah. My co-host Michael will be listening to this and loving it because he lives in Savannah and has had the joy of going to a game. So we're big Bananas fans on the podcast and glad to see you highlighting a player there. Let's talk quickly about a little bit of Boston sports storyline because I know that's our original background. I know that life is very different for Patriots fans 3 years removed from letting go of the GOAT, Tom Brady, and we're the biggest Tom Brady fans there are out there. I'm curious, what are your thoughts after this now second retirement here? What do you think is coming up next for Tom Brady in the years to come?
I know. Oh my gosh. I won't say it was a shock. I knew at the beginning of the season that he was most likely or more than likely going to retire.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those things where every athlete, no matter how good you are, you have a shelf life, right? Whether that be you're aging and phasing out and you have newer talent coming in, like you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Joe Burrow, you have all these people, right, with the fresh arms, the fresh legs, the game's getting a little bit faster, it's changing a little bit. So you have that element to it. And then you have the element of family, right? Like a big thing with Tom Brady and a lot of athletes, Ryan included. Again, we talk about getting married and having a wife and kids. Your priorities start to change. So with that being said, obviously I don't know Tom Brady personally, but I think his decision to retire and kind of focus on potentially his family, maybe either A, getting back with his wife, or B, starting to date around if that's something that he chooses to do, or just kind of like, I think he needs to take a couple of years to just mentally sit down and reflect and kind of like look at and think about all these awesome things that he's just accomplished in the NFL the last 20 plus years after him not even supposed to be playing in the NFL. I mean, everybody already knows like the Brady 6 story and how people called him lanky and not fast and wimpy and not strong and all these crazy things that obviously turned out to not be true because he's the greatest of all time from what we've seen. So it just goes to show you that like anything can happen. And I don't mean to get off topic. I'll switch back to Tom Brady, but actually Ryan and I last night, and it was really good. We watched Kurt Warner. I watched his story last night. And I think it was like a movie documentary style. I think it was called Kurt Warner.
Oh yeah, he went from bagging groceries to winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the American underdog story. And that was really good because kind of sort of similar to Tom Brady in the sense where obviously Tom Brady, I don't think struggled with poverty or anything, but kind of wasn't the best quarterback when he was younger, kind of was just like overlooked. And then all of a sudden winning Super Bowls and doing all these crazy feats. But needless to say, Ryan and I actually got to go to the Tampa Bay Bucks game. It was January 1st of this year. So 2023, Ryan and I made it our point. We're like, hey, he's most likely going to retire. Let's go try to see one of his last games. So we actually landed that perfectly where we went to the Bucks game. They were actually playing the Carolina Panthers in Tampa. And that was great. I think what he has in store for him is, I mean, we've all kind of seen that he's probably going to get into broadcasting, and obviously he has the Brady brand and all of these things, right? The sky is the limit for that guy at this point because he has so much under his belt and he's met so many people over the years and so much credibility that honestly, sky's the limit. That's my opinion on it.
I know, and you're so right that he should take some time to reflect on everything amazing he's done. Unfortunately, I can just tell the way he's wired. He just has a hard time sitting still for that long. I hope he does take that time to give himself that perspective. But it'll be interesting to see what his next moves are. Brittany, before we do sign off, I love asking because I know in a past life as well too. You have your original fame where I originally encountered you was on MTV. Obviously, being featured on The Challenge. And Are You the One through MTV Productions. I'm curious, after all these years, I see you do still have, fans from your MTV days reaching out. What do you hear most often from them? And what do they bring up in 2023? Is it you being back on? Is it you doing reunion podcasts? What do the fans ask you most from an MTV standpoint?
Yeah, so a lot of fans will either slide in my DMs or I'll get tagged in various memes or posts where they're like super fans, right? Or whether it's on Reddit or like a Instagram feed, and they're like, hey, we want to see Brittany and so back on The Challenge or All Stars or whatever. So there is that hope that one day I could potentially be casted again. I mean, you look at like the All Star season that they've done multiple seasons that is now out on Paramount Plus. And I think I would enjoy being on those shows a little bit better than being on the flagship show that is on MTV. The reason why I say that is also, I don't mean to be plugging my own podcast, but I recently had on a good friend of mine who is a veteran on the challenge. Her name is John A. Mannion. I just dropped a 2-part podcast episode with her on my podcast. And on that show, we actually talk about her being adopted as a kid and going through that whole saga, getting married, living in LA, and all of her seasons on the challenge. And the reason why I bring her up is she was completely retired, didn't want to go back, had no liking to being on the challenge ever again. But with this new series, like the All-Stars, I guess they film a lot faster. So you're only gone for like a month and a half versus the 2 to 4 months that you're gone. So I think I would enjoy potentially competing on that type of a series because, again, like we talk about with Tom Brady and all these people, priorities start to change as you get older. I'm married now. I want to start a family at some point. I have a dog. We have a house. It's not like I'm in my 20s where it didn't matter if I was gone for 4, 5, 6 months. I didn't have that many bills. I was right out of college. So, yes, to your point, the fans do ask me if I would ever go back and compete. Yes, I would love to. It also depends where I'm at because again, if I'm pregnant or if I have a kid, more than likely I can't go back right away. And then again, to supplement that, I do talk about the challenge sometimes on my podcast, on other podcasts like yours. And I will never forget that experience. I thought it was awesome. And I kind of wish I had the opportunity to compete on it years ago, but I just never got that opportunity again.
No, that's okay. I mean, yeah, I think the door is always open there. And just for a generation of MTV fans, we know the history behind the challenge. So it's really cool to see you be a part of that. And hopefully you are again one more time as well. Shout out to Decker as well, too. How's Decker doing? Well?
Yeah, so my dog Decker is awesome. He's actually been limping a little bit, which kind of stinks. I don't know if he stepped on something weird or what's going on. But yeah, our dog Decker, he just turned 5. He's a yellow English lab. He's absolutely adorable. I post about him all the time on my social media. So thank you for asking about him. But yeah, he goes on a lot of our trips with us and he loves to swim. So at our new house, we have a pool. He's going to be swimming his little booty off this summer. And this is a really cool thing. So we actually made a custom bedroom for him in our house. Ryan thought of the idea. Yeah, there's actually a TV show called Animal Cribs where they deck out bedrooms for dogs and animals.
Yes.
So what we did was we actually took a closet. So it's like a bigger style closet and we ripped the door off. We put on a baby gate and inside of it is like a big bed. It kind of looks like a sofa. We have a red nameplate that says Decker. We have 4 or 5 family photos in there of us and his stuffed animals. And I'm waiting on some lamb chop decals to go in his room because he loves lamb chop. We have the little lights on the side of his bedroom that you tap them and the light turns on. So he has a stand-up fan. That little boy's got it going on.
What a setup indeed. I think that's better than my own bedroom setup, actually. Now that I think about it. Decker's world indeed, isn't it?
It's Decker's world and we're just all living in it.
Love it. Brittany, let's wrap with our 19th hole question, but I'm going to put a high point rocker spin on it for you since the baseball season's getting going really soon for you. I'm curious, what's your favorite food or what's the best option for the concession stand if you're going to a high point rockers game? What's your favorite thing to get?
So I guess this is going to be a biased answer. So if you're into hot dogs, chicken fingers, burgers, they have all of those things. Usually because I'm working, I like to eat dinner before I go just because I'm running around so much. But the fans, I always see them with the nachos, the burgers, the beer, all of that stuff. I unfortunately don't have time to eat any of it because I'm running around so much, but it looks and smells delicious. I have had the chicken fingers. They're really good. What I do like to get, especially during the really hot months, I mean, because you live in Texas, I'm a big fan of Dippin' Dots. So if you guys don't know what Dippin' Dots are, they're these little cups of ice cream, but it's not even really ice cream. They freeze dry it somehow with liquid nitrogen and they make these little ice cream balls. And I love it because when it's a really hot day and I need to coat my throat and I'm running around, I love to just get me some Dippin' Dots in between an inning, kind of just savor it, walk around. And yeah, I just love the different flavors and it's so cold. Dippin' Dots is my thing during the baseball season. I try not to get them every day because obviously that's not healthy, but I make it my point to get Dippin' Dots at least like 2 times a week.
Nice. Well, the nice part about Dippin' Dots is it's one of those things where you don't see it everywhere. So when you do come across Dippin' Dots, especially at a baseball game, it's quite a vibe. You got to choose it. So great pick indeed. Brittany, thank you so much for hopping on the Course Life. Appreciate getting the life update and the baseball update as we head into the season for you. And anyone out there, if you're in North Carolina and you're heading through High Point, be sure to hit up Brittany when you're heading to a game. Thanks again for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for having me on, and I'd be more than happy to join you whenever. Hope you guys enjoy the baseball season and have a rockin' summer.
And we're back. Great chat there with Brittany Baldi. I have to completely agree about My Savannah Banana. I don't even want to call them My Savannah Bananas. The Savannah Bananas.
You just claimed them. I heard that. Yeah, I heard that.
They are the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. It is not about baseball. It is about an entertainment experience that just happens to be on a diamond.
Yes, well said. A show with a side of baseball, if you will. And I think there's more baseball with the High Point Rockers where Brittany is, but it's cool bringing some of that show and fun family vibe to the ballpark. And it's really cool to get the update on life from Brittany in North Carolina. Looks like they're settling really nicely there. And good to see Ryan still throwing gas as well, too. So really cool to connect again with Brittany. She's a great recurring guest on the show, and we love having all sorts of different guests from the world of golf, sports, media, and beyond. Be sure to give us a follow if you're listening right now and you've yet to subscribe. Be sure to smash that subscribe button on IG again at COL Podcast, at MWRINC, and at Course of Life Alex.
All right, let's get into it, Alex.
Let's celebrate. It's time.
Our Quinnipiac University Bobcats, yes, we're going to toot our own horn for probably about 15 or 20 minutes here, everyone, so buckle in, are the NCAA Division I men's ice hockey champions.
We are national champions forever. Unbelievable.
I don't want to talk about the game, even though a 3-2 come from behind overtime victory 10 seconds into OT was just spectacular to watch. I think I had about 20 different heart attacks during the game.
Yeah, and that's saying something, because I go through the hardest of heart attacks when I'm watching sports, and you'll see me crazy text you for some stuff, and I know on the other end you're like, all right, Alex, it's just a Patriots regular season game, like calm down. But like the way you were texting me, it reminded me of the NFL playoffs. That's how I knew you were going crazy on the other end. Yeah.
It was just a spectacular game to watch, and I think I'm thinking about what it means as an alum of a school to win a championship, something that I think we never thought we would experience and be able to say that, hey, our school won a national championship. And the other thing I think about is how Rand Pecknold, the head coach of this team, who was hired in 1994 when we were, in his words, a bad D3 hockey team.
Absurd.
Who practiced at midnight at a public rink.
And played in a high school rink until our freshman, sophomore year of college as well.
And went from that in 1994 to now the national champions of D1 college hockey in like almost 30, just under 30 years. How can you not say Rand Pecknold is the greatest coach in college hockey?
That's the best build in college hockey, and maybe in all college sports. We'd have to compare sport by sport and see what other programs have done. But to ascend that way, in that manner, to go all the way from literal barn team to national championships, unbelievable. And the other thing that can't be overlooked is, why in the world wouldn't Rand Pecknold leave at any juncture of this ascent? There are so many opportunities where a coach like that could leave and go to greener grass and say, I built this here. Congrats. I'm going to go take a raise and go to X university, name your Big Ten school. There were probably countless opportunities through him throughout these decades. And at every single juncture, he continued to stay with Quinnipiac. Is the ultimate form of loyalty in sports.
I mean, it's incredible. And that's where, to me, after the overtime winner, they've cut to Rand Pecknold and the coaching staff on the bench, and his his pure joy and elation and almost relief of finally getting what he so rightfully deserved. And then in his interview on the ice just shortly after, just such a wholesome moment, standing there and just not being able to vocalize what had happened and asking for a hug. I'm honestly getting teary-eyed again just thinking about that moment.
There he is. He's welling up. I love it. I love it.
But this is, I mean, people knew who we were before, maybe for our polling institute.
Sure, yep.
But I also love the moment that came out from some of the players after the game of this, like, what do they say about us? Oh, they say we don't play anybody. And that's what they've always, there's always been the haters against Quinnipiac. We were the underdog in the first Frozen Four game against Michigan, even though we were the overall number 2 seed. We've been in the top 3 all season. We're a perennial top 10 team since we first made the Frozen Four in 2013. You can't say we're not any good, and you certainly can't say it anymore.
Yeah, a program like that in any sport, and any college fan or fan of a school will relate is, you're overlooked until you're not. And that pinpoint has hit. We've hit that pinpoint at this moment right here. There's officially no more overlooking Quinnipiac University as a hockey program forever. And just for anyone out there in whatever school you went to, on a relatable note, no matter what school you went to, the idea of your school competing for a national championship and putting themselves on the pedestal as being the absolute best program at any given sport, whether it be football, basketball, hockey, golf, bowling, soccer, water polo. I don't care. Celebrate them all because they all do matter. These are lifelong athletes that have worked their craft to this point to get there. Neither you or I have ever been the biggest hockey fans. It's never been our number one sport, but we knew from the moment we stepped on that campus and started going to those games that hockey was a culture with Quinnipiac. And since then, we've obviously been fans, and it's been amazing to see it all pay off.
Yeah, of course, we were there in 2005 was when we first got on campus. When Quinnipiac joined the ECAC, we were still playing at the Northford Ice Pavilion. What a POS that was to be playing in. And then we opened at the time it was called the TD Bankdorf Sports Center. Yep. Now it's called, I don't know what it's
5 other names now. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. It's still called some sort of bank. It's still named after a bank, thankfully. So it's still the bank. I was thinking about this, that for whatever dumb reason, when I was with the student TV station, Q30 Television, at the first game that the Q30 TV did at the stadium, ice hockey game, I, for whatever reason, was the color commentator for that game.
Great memory.
I didn't know a thing about hockey, but I was there calling it. I don't remember who we played or what the result of the game was, but I was there.
My God, did I have some conflict? How did I not get that spot in the booth that day, Mike? You
were doing radio then. You never did the TV stuff. You did the radio stuff.
So fun memories indeed. But just, to wrap up, we've seen this program from literal birth and genesis to what it is now. It's a tribute to Coach Pecknoll and the entire staff there. Just a thrilling national championship moment. You couldn't have scripted any better. The adversity of being down 2-0 and coming back and winning immediately in overtime. Unbelievable achievement for our Bobcats. Shout out to all the Bobcats out there that are listening. This one is for you guys. And raise one more if you haven't already up there for our QU Bobcats.
All right, let's hashtag always end with food.
Yes, food segment to end every Course of Life podcast. We love talking food here on the show. Always end with food on Instagram if you want to see our random food journeys and pics and everything like that. We just passed Easter, and I did a very hungry grocery shop last week. So I went a little nuts, and I got the big, what I would consider the big 3 of Easter candy: the Cadbury cream eggs, the Reese's eggs, and the Peeps. Are you out on Peeps, or do you like Peeps or hate Peeps?
I would not buy a Peep, but if you handed me a Peep, I would maybe eat it.
Yeah. So
is it a chocolate covered Peep or just a straight Peep?
Straight Peep, man. Straight Peep. Yeah. I know.
And you know what? I love marshmallows, but the Peeps are just, I don't know.
It's a risk. I only take it once a year for Easter. So I did it in the moment and they're half gone now. But I guess the question beckoned to me is, what is the best candy holiday? Is it the Easter candy? If you just give each holiday maybe a big 3 or think about what their hits are. I'm thinking about Easter candy. I'm thinking about Valentine's Day candy. I'm thinking about, obviously, Halloween candy. I'm thinking about Christmas candy. Are there any candy holidays that I'm missing, and which one would you put at the top there?
I don't think you're missing any.
Those are the big ones. Yeah.
If I'm gonna pick one though, I'm probably going Christmas candy, because Christmas is when you get this is going to sound really bougie of me.
Yep.
Like the fancier candies at Christmas.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you're going to get, like, to me, it's all about Lindt truffles. And and I don't know if it's a New Hampshire thing because the Lindt factory is in New Hampshire, but it's like, and it was either that or it was that my parents went to some silent auction in the late fall or early winter and always won a gift basket of Lindt truffles and then divvied it up to the stockings every year. So it's just Lindt truffles and Christmas go hand in hand to me.
You're sponsored by Lindt truffles, aren't you? Well, you're getting sponsorship deals behind my back now. Unbelievable.
If Lindt wants to actually just send me like a big bag of truffles every month, I will just say that you're the best all the time.
Say the words, Mike. I'm on it.
To make it happen. But yeah, to me, Christmas candy, because that's at least what I associate with Christmas.
Yeah, and I love that peppermint flavor too. The chocolate peppermint combo, pretty undefeated. It's just the cream eggs hit nice this time of year, very temporarily though. So I was enjoying.
Why didn't you get any jelly beans though? I have to ask that question.
It's funny you mentioned that because in all of my Easter baskets as a kid, there were jelly beans. Just a complete omission on my end. Just completely.
Yeah. Not jelly belly. I don't like jelly bellies. I don't think that's not a jelly bean to me.
The new move, Mike, now is that everyone gives each other the troll jelly beans, where you think it's like a cherry jelly bean, but in reality, it's like a lava firecracker jelly bean.
No,
it's a mean society we live in now. So,
I mean, what we live, as George Costanza says, we live in a society.
We do. It's not a great one, but we do live in it. You're right about that,
yes.
Mike. That's a wrap on Always End With Food and this episode of Course of Life. Thank you for tuning in. And if you made this far, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Again, from Michael, I'm Alex. Everyone have a good week.